Noch ein Porträt, noch eine Geschichte.
What magnificent vestments. This must be none other than Lord De Rosso.
"'Tis a portrait of my ordainment as Cardinal of the Orthodoxy. I was as yet... No, let us move on to other matters.
Nein, erzähl!
I was born of the House of De Rosso, hereditary Dukes of Eternia. Blessed was my youth. My parents showered affection upon me, and I was beloved by the people. And the king bestowed favor upon me as well. Upon royal recommendation, I was made a cleric of the Crystal Adventists, the Old Faith, in my 19th year. I devoted my body and soul to my clerical duties, for king, for kingdom, for faith. Sleep became an oft-missed luxury. But before long, a new tide began sweeping through the Crystal Adventists. There were those who wanted the clergy to control the 4 crystals of Luxendark, rather than local monarchies and temples. That belief formed the core of the Crystal Orthodoxy. The Eternian royal family, keepers of the Earth Crystal, immediately assented to this new way. I soon found myself appointed to the position of Cardinal in the Orthodoxy. Me, a mere cleric. Cardinal De Rosso. Those were my days of glory. Even now, the mere sound of the then-new title is dear to me. The old faith was remade entirely into the Crystal Orthodoxy, and the decision was made to elect a Grand Patriarch to rule. Thereupon, cardinals throughout the world gathered for a conclave to elect the first Grand Patriarch. Amid the conclave's maelstrom, I was approached by a cardinal who wished for me to vote for his choice. I suppose it was my youth and sincerity that made me reject the notion out of hand. But that was my downfall, for I was forced from the position of cardinal by the fraudulently elected Grand Patriarch. I had been but fervent in my beliefs and ideals. What I did only for the Orthodoxy, and for the people of this world.
The old faith and the Orthodoxy. The Kingdom of Eternia and the Duchy. That was all a bit hard to follow.
I agree. There are no major differences in teachings between the Old Faith and Orthodoxy. They both revere the 4 crystals. I have heard that the Adventists gave way to the new and truer ideas of the Orthodoxy and faded away.
No wonder the Old Faith was abandoned.
Yet there is more to the story, for history is not more than accounts recorded by the victorious. To solidify their power, the victors showered contempt upon the vanquished. So it was those who held the reins of power within the Orthodoxy relentlessly pressed for the Adventists' eradication. No one recalls the words of the vanquished if the victorious write them out of history. 'Tis as if they had never existed.
I'd been taught that the battle between the 2 faiths had been fierce, and in its wake, devastation persisting to this day covered all the lands.
That is an uncharacteristically accurate account for the Orthodoxy, save for their false reckoning of time. It was after the Orthodoxy had begun ruling the world that the endless conflict with the Adventists began. I should know, for I was there to bear witness firsthand.
Lord De Rosso, how could you possibly be that old?
Pilates. Fürste Rossos epische Redekunst. Wingabe, du hast ja eine halbe Wand abgesägt, während Fürste Rosso mit uns gesprochen hat. Wald abgesägt? Sie meint, du hast geschlafen. Oh, war das so offensichtlich? Offensichtlich, du hast geschnarcht wie ein Bär. Im Ernst, bitte verzeiht mir. Sogar ich weiß, dass ich sowas etwas nicht gehört. So ist es auch wenn diese Rede wirklich sehr, sehr lang war. Sie hat recht, Wingabe. Du warst sehr unhöflich. Sogar ich bin von deinem Schnarchen aufgewacht. Was? Soll das heißen, du hast auch geschlafen mit dir? Kiddies. Na, was kommt hier jetzt Neues? Ah. Junge Frauen. Ich gehe mal davon aus, dass ich sie angreifen darf. Mit meinen Eisdings. Deswegen gehen wir mal einfach so in den Verteidigungsmodus und gucken dann. Keiner, der mich ärgert, keiner, der mich schubst. Keiner, der irgendwie mich verwirrt oder sonst irgendetwas. Nein, das ist neu. Gut, nehme ich mit. Wir können einfach draufhauen. Wir müssen hier alles aufdecken. Ja, siehst du, da war eine Kiste. Seelentau. Wisst ihr, was ich die ganze Zeit über vergessen habe? Geheimgänge zu suchen. Ist immer das, was ich vergessen habe. Oh, nee, nicht so eine Runde hier. Okay. Der Papa macht's. Und ich bin der Meinung, das geht so. Und wenn nicht, habe ich immer noch Osmose. Gut, das klappt so. Alles klar. Dann können wir ja vorher Osmose machen, bevor wir die niederschnicken. Ein neues Bild. Es sieht aber nicht mehr hübsch aus.
This one shows a castle in flames.
A large army surrounds it. It looks as if it could fall at any moment.
Is this not this very castle? See, this is the western corridor right here.
There's another castle burning in the distance. It's near where Eternian's central command is today.
So then, that's the Orthodoxy's head temple in flames?
Nay, the distant castle in flames belonged to the King of Eternia, and the castle in the Four. 'Tis the abode of my family, the House of De Rosso.
But why? Why would such a terrible thing?
The kingdom of Eternia was suddenly beset by a great host from another land. We would later come to know that it was a four-state coalition sent by order of the Crystal Orthodoxy. They had been told the King of Eternia sought a return to Adventism and was arming for war against the Orthodoxy. The Grand Patriarchy used this fiction to order a great muster of forces from across the lands. Alas, I failed to heed the many warning signs. I rejected the scheming Cardinal's choice for Grand Patriarch. But he succeeded in luring votes from other factions, and his became the ruling faction of the Grand Patriarchy. It was they who wished to establish Crystal Orthodoxy as the uncontested world religion. Under their orders, the castle of the Eternian King was besieged. It fell in mere weeks. Before long, the great host was at the gates of our castle, and my father lay brutally murdered. The water supply was poisoned, and the Orthodoxy's forces drew an ironclad ring around the castle. By then, the castle sheltered not but the elderly, the young, the wounded. There was no hope of resistance. I was forced to sue for peace, even offering my own mother as hostage per their demands. Yet that failed to break the siege. The commoners who had placed their faith in my family and me slowly starved to death. It was then that a letter arrived from a man. That man was the Cardinal, who had sought to influence my vote. The Fiend was now the officer in charge of the attack. He wrote that he would not accept my surrender. Such was the hatred he bore for me. Such hatred that he was willing to let countless innocents die. My mother had been murdered. Our castle was consumed in flames. That is the painting you see here.
How could the Orthodoxy do such a thing?
This all reminds me of what happened during the Great Plague.
Indeed. Perhaps the Templar and I are not so very different. To be betrayed by what you believe in. To have your family and those you protect murdered. Though we do not see eye to eye, perhaps it is a shared sorrow that binds us.
Also sind die doch die Bösen. Die Kristallisierten. Da ist das nächste. Ah, das ist jetzt auch kacke. Aber eigentlich kann ich ja hier. Gehen wir auf Nummer sicher. Gut, dass ich auf Nummer sicher gegangen bin. Gut, dass ich auf Nummer sicher gegangen bin. Das ist wieder endlos geworden. Zwergenfäustlinge. Die will ich eigentlich nicht wirklich kämpfen. Mir geht alles so langsam wieder aus. Kann ich hier raus? Bitte? Der Wichser ist wirklich, wenn dir die Sachen ausgehen. Upsa. Reden wir nicht drüber. Wir ignorieren es. Wir ignorieren es. Wir ignorieren es. Wir ignorieren es. Der Rückschlag ist ein Instant-Kill, ne? Also das muss man mal so sagen. Das ist eigentlich eine ziemlich fiese und miese Attacke. Ein Instant-Kill, wenn ich dich mit physischen Angriffen angreife. Wenn ich dich berühre, ein Instant-Kill. Wow. Bin ich froh, dass wir nur einen einzigen physischen Angreifer haben. Sonst wäre das nämlich schon wieder ganz schön kacke. Okay, wir haben schon wieder jede Menge coole Armschienen bekommen, aber ich weiß schon wieder nicht, was das ist. Wäre das nicht was für Wingable? Das Seelenamulett, aber selbstverständlich. Sehr schön. So. Na, da 10 magischen Angriff mehr. Hier brennt irgendjemand.
Look!
Such fierce flames.
Though I wish not to remember that day, it is indelibly etched upon my mind.
How did you survive?
The Orthodoxy lay siege yet would accept no surrender. My mother, father, relatives, and my people lay dead. It was then I set our castle ablaze. But as the flames began to lick my body, something slipped into me. Betrayed by the precepts I believed in, was I not bitter? Robbed of my beloved homeland, my dearest of kin, my people, slain. Amid such despair, was I content to simply welcome death? Nay, I heard a voice. Accept me, and I shall grant life everlasting. Though it shall be filled with grief, thou shalt have all eternity to wreak vengeance upon thine enemies. Did I forge a dark pact with some fiendish entity that day? Or was it a rebirth, triggered by a future me, reaching back to the past? Panicked upon failing to find my body, the Orthodoxy chose to denounce my family and me as ghoulish vampires. Thus have I been living an immortal existence ever since.
Then the name Vampire Castle is...
A lie that has been perpetrated by the Orthodoxy for some 2,400 years. Though it is true I am immortal, I am no vampire. I find the smell of blood too revolting to ever drink it. Having said that, I have done naught to quell the rumors. In truth, I endeavored to embellish them. My ability to transform myself into a bat and grow these fangs are the fruits of many years. Long, long years of effort. Tell me, O Vestal of the Wind, what does the Crystal Orthodoxy have to say about the passing of the first Grand Patriarch?
He chose the second Grand Patriarch and prayed for peace and the well-being of the faithful as he passed peacefully from this world.
Passed peacefully from this world, you say? I know the truth to be far different.
What do you mean?
The first Grand Patriarch was assassinated, along with his Archbishop, the man who had been my bane. The assassin himself tells you this. There is no other truth. That was when I forsook this land. Soon after, sightings of the vampire Lester de Rosso began to crop up throughout the world. I became a veritable Duke of Darkness, forging ties with those bearing hatred toward the Orthodoxy and those it had oppressed. I was the enemy of man, the hated and feared vampire. But more than that, I was known as the arch-enemy of the Orthodoxy. And after some 500 years, a fateful encounter with one whom you all know well. No. Let us leave the matter for another time.
Nein! Ich will das wissen, dass du den Weisen getroffen hast. Man darf ich ihn denn jetzt verprügeln? Ja, dadurch sterben sie auch. Okay. Ich wusste nicht, ob die Dreier-Riege auch dadurch stirbt. Da eine Kiste? Da ist auch noch eine Kiste. Zauberarmreif. Können gucken. Wir können ja gucken. Zauberarmreif. Magische Abwehr. Wäre das denn nichts für Idia, die ein Schutzhemd trägt? Nö. So gut ist das Ding auch nicht, alles klar.